How's it going, everyone? I hope you're doing awesome today. In this video, I want to talk to you if you are thinking of purchasing a home. I want to make sure that you understand a lot of the costs that are involved in purchasing a home. As we're saving up for a down payment on a home, that's often what we're thinking of, right? We're thinking of that 10, 20%, 30% number, whatever it is, to put down on a home, and we're thinking, okay, I've got to have this money to put down and that's all I need. Well, not so fast. There are some other upfront costs that I want to make sure that you think about and don't forget so you're not caught by surprise. My name is Stephen Kodabash of K-Bash Realty, and I get to help people buy and sell houses every day. If you are about to buy a property soon, one of the very first upfront costs that you'll be faced with is the home inspection costs. So what exactly does that mean? When you go under contract or you offer on a property, you're more than likely going to offer with the contingency that you get a satisfactory home inspection taken care of. So through that process, you'll have an inspector come in, evaluate the home. They'll look at the major systems, the minor systems, and they'll give the complete home a thorough look to see if there are any defects or issues or things that need to be addressed. But the point here is there is a cost to that home inspection, and it's typically not something that you can just roll into closing cost at the very end when you get to closing. So a home inspector is going to either want to get paid up front before they come or very soon after. And you got to think about this with a home inspector. That inspector will come in and it will be a few $100s depending on how big the home is or how complicated the inspection. Very well could be a few $100s, so be prepared to pay that. The thing to remember though with an inspection is that inspector could come through and they could find some big things wrong with the home. And you might say, whoa, that's too much for me to deal with. I don't want to come in and have to deal with repairing these items. And then the seller could also say, oh yes, no, this isn't going to work out or whatever. And you may not even close on that home. So even if you don't close on the home, you still have to pay that inspector. So that home inspection needs to be paid for, and it is an upfront cost that you need to account for. Hold on for me before we move further. Hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. It really supports my channel. You're so awesome. A second cost that you need to be mindful of is the cost for the home appraisal. Generally, the lender is going to order a home appraisal early in the process. And this is something that is typically rolled into your closing costs, so you don't have to necessarily come out of pocket immediately to pay that appraiser. However, once again, it's usually a few $100s, if not more, depending on the size of your home. But that is going to have to come out of your pocket and you're going to have to pay that. And like I said, it's typically at the end when you get ready to close on the property. So a quick side note here on appraisals. Why do I have to get an appraisal? Let's say, for example, your home, you're under contract on this home for $700,000. Well, that appraiser is going to come in and evaluate the home to make sure that it's worth $700,000. Because you as the buyer, what's the last thing you want to do? The last thing you want to do is to pay $700,000 for a property and then realize later that, hey, it's only worth $650,000 and you've overpaid for the property. So that home appraisal is critical in the entire process, and that lender will work to get that ordered for you. But like I said, it's going to come out of your pocket at the end of the day. A third cost that could come up is the cost for a home survey. You might be under contract on a property, and let's say, for example, you've got fencing. You've got a fence on all four sides of the property, and you might want to, for peace of mind, you might want to have a survey done on the property. You might want to have a survey done just to make sure that that fence is in the right spot, because you don't want a boundary dispute immediately, right, when you move into your new property. But that cost of a survey is something that you'll need to pay for up front or immediately after that service is rendered on your property, so that's not something that you can typically push off into closing down the road. So be prepared to pay for that survey if you decide to do so. Like I said, it's definitely optional, but it is something that could come up, and you've got to be willing to shell out a few $100 again if you want that taken care of before you purchase the home. When I'm working with my clients, whether it's to help them buy or sell a home, the last thing that I want for any of them is to encounter any surprises. So I try to go through and I try to just lay out different scenarios that could happen, whether they're good or bad or neutral. I want to make sure that people have those thoughts in their heads and they're thinking beforehand, and we're being proactive about, okay, if this should come up or if that should come up, what do we do? I hope this video did a good job of preparing you as a home buyer for some of those home buying costs that could come up as you're going through the entire process. Before you hop off my channel, do me a favor, check out this other video that I've published here on my channel where I talk about your mortgage, your new loan. And let's say, for example, that it fell through right before closing. That would be a terrible scenario, right? Well, what do you do then? And more importantly, what can you do to prevent that from happening? Take a look at that video next. And once again, I hope that it gives you some advice and some guidance so that you can make your home buying process as smooth as possible. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you learned a little something from this video, and I will see you guys on the next one.